Hey folks, this is Ry Barrett. I played Johnny from In a Violent Nature, and you are now entering the Cinema Chop Shop.
The Cinema Chop Shop.
What's going on, everybody? It's Davey from the 80s, and you are now entering the Cinema Chop Shop, so park your ass right there. And today I have a special guest in the building. I'm super hyped. I have Ry Barrett. Say hello to everybody, Ry.
How's it going, guys? Thanks for having me, man.
No, I appreciate it. So if you guys don't know, this is Johnny from In a Violent Nature. You probably don't notice him because he doesn't have the makeup on. You're not seeing the back of his head. Or you're not seeing the old school firefighter helmet, but this is the man, the myth, the modern day legend himself. So I'm glad to have you here, man. I'm super hyped about it.
Oh, thanks, man.
All right, so I wanted to open up with this question. Now that the movie's been released in theaters and it's also been released on Shudder, how has been the public's response to Johnny as a character?
It seems like we've got some fans. I know there's some people who they're not big fans of the movie and stuff, and it is a divisive film, so we kind of expected that, but we didn't really expect as many people to kind of love it as much as they do too, and to love Johnny too. Like, I've been getting people send pictures. Somebody got a tattoo of Johnny. Yeah, like, it's amazing, man. There's t-shirts. There's all this artwork, and I saw there was a guy doing cosplay as Johnny too, and it was a great costume. So yeah, it's just like, it's blowing my mind every time I see something like that. I'm just like, totally, because I'm a big horror geek and a fan of all this stuff too. So seeing it I appreciate it in a way that it's real.
Mentioning that mask, how comfortable was wearing that mask during the movie?
Not very comfortable. They were. Chris Nash, he was smart in a way that really helped me out. He designed a few different masks. So when we were fully behind Johnny, there's one that has like a cutout around the face. So it's fully open, and it just made it easier for me to see and to do some of the walk into the situations when there's going to be some action or something like that. But then when the goggles are on, there was two also different versions of that. One's with the glass and then one's without the glass. So I could see a little better, and they could take them out and then they could pop them back in when it was going to be a front or like a close-up scene of Johnny. So it varied day to day depending on what the mask needed to do. But it was really hot in there in the full mask.
So did the glass get foggy when it was hot?
Yeah, it would fog up. So any of the scenes that you actually see Johnny's face, like any scenes that are kind of moving around, like the scene where I'm going after the two guys and there's the overhead shot, like any of the forward yoga stuff where you have the full mask, I really can't see at all. So it's kind of, you kind of got to time out your steps and just kind of use like landmarks to know exactly where you're going and hopefully not trip in the process.
Oh yeah, especially because there was that big cliff, right?
Yeah.
Missing.
Well, luckily they had me tied off. When I had to go as close to the cliff at the last little part there, they had me tied off in a harness actually too. So they were smart. They were safe about it, but it's probably a good thing because I easily could have stepped off of that.
Definitely, but safety is a big concern, right? So we in the movie we get that one frontal shot of Johnny. We finally get to see his face. How long did it take them to put those prosthetics on your face?
I think remembering, I think it was about a 3-hour job. That was specifically, there was one day Steve Costanzi came out to actually do the prosthetic makeup and to add, like, it was basically, it's a big cowl that goes over my head that has an opening here, comes down, covers the shoulders, and then he has to apply the makeup and little bits and pieces that kind of brings it all together and makes it seamless. So that was, it was probably about a 3.5 hour job, I want to say. It could have been longer because I was half asleep when it started. So it was around there though.
Yeah, I mean they did because you're honestly unrecognizable. Like from here to like Johnny, unrecognizable. Since you said you're a horror fan, that you like horror movies, right? You're a horror geek. If you had to have Johnny hypothetically face off against one horror icon, who would it be?
Who would that be?
Yeah, who
Oh
would
man,
that be?
that's tough because it's like there's so many great ones, and like for a slasher or something like that, I don't like. You want to say Jason off the bat just because they're
They're so
similar. It'd be
similar.
fun to see that, but then it'd be fun to see something completely different, like I don't know, Pinhead or Chucky. That'd be pretty funny, actually.
Chucky would be hilarious. Yeah, and that'll balance out well because Chucky talks a lot.
Yeah, I know you kind of need something to offset that, right? Because if it was Jason and Johnny, it'd be a pretty silent film.
Yeah, it's a quiet film, right? You had to have somebody
Michael
else.
Myers too, right? Like,
Yeah, that was the reason why Michael Myers and Jason, like it would be, you had to have really interesting other characters involved because it would be really quiet when those two were on the scene. But yeah, I had a friend, he's like a huge Madman Mars fan. Shout out to Derek from
okay, yeah.
MASH. And he's like, he would always be like, I want to see Madman. He'll be like, I want to see Madman face off against Johnny. So I know that's the first thing.
Or against the twins from was it Before Dawn? Just Before Dawn?
Just Before Dawn. Okay, all right.
Like the twin slasher killers in that one. I think it's that one. Yeah,
I think so too. So I know that you're not fully the director. You're Johnny, but if you had to pick up, like, if you had to kind of like not guess, but if it was your decision about where Johnny goes next, because the unique thing about this film is that the next movie could either be a prequel about the massacre that happened a long time ago, right? Or it could be an origin story about how Johnny became the person that he became, or it could literally pick up right after this movie ends where the girl's standing outside of the van. So if you were the person in charge of that, where would you want to pick up the movie next? Would you want to go origin? Would you want to go where the sheriff's father put Johnny in the dirt that one time? Or would you want to pick up right after this movie ended?
Yeah, it's a tough call because you could go a lot of different directions, and you could keep it interesting by doing that too. And yeah, I don't want to jump the gun with anything that what Chris is working on right now, what he's writing, but and that's the thing that I'm excited about too, to see what direction he goes, because he could go backwards. He could cut it in half and do part of it in the past and part of it later on, or still before and jumping forward. Personally, I don't know. I'd love to see. I'd love to see all of it kind of tackled. So hopefully we get to see multiple sequels, so we get to see a bunch. Because it'd be fun to see Johnny like leave the forest setting at some point too, or to see him in a wintry forest setting. Not that I necessarily want to shoot in the winter, but it would look great.
It would look amazing, especially at night. A night winter shot. Ooh,
yeah.
Because the movie relies a lot on
for part 4 or something. I don't know. They might end up in space by part 4 or 5. So
Johnny the Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
Right. Now, but a winter scene would really add to the allure, because a lot of the big allure of this movie was just listening to the sounds and the sounds of the forest.
Mm-hmm.
And that in a winter setting would be amazing. But so you kind of already answered my next question about, are you excited about the announcement of the sequel? So pretty much, right?
Yeah. Everyone's excited, and I know, like, I don't want to. That's the thing, is I haven't bothered Chris much about it because I don't want to put any more pressure on him, because I know he's got to be feeling enough as it is just with everything. But it's just knowing how these guys love films. Well, Chris specifically, he's a huge film fan and loves practical effects, and he builds that stuff and does that stuff himself too. So just knowing that he already has that in mind, and he's just looking probably to top and to do something very different again, but then kind of in the same vein. So it's just interesting to kind of wonder what it's going to be, because it could go any direction.
Yeah, because they announced a sequel at San Diego Comic-Con, correct?
Yeah.
And you were there?
I was there for it. We got to do a fun announcement on stage. They were doing like a panel on bold new visions of horror, and they got to a point where they were talking about In a Violent Nature with our producer Peter Kaplowski, and I got to walk on stage as Johnny and kind of threaten them to put up the poster of the sequel. So it was a lot of fun.
That was cool. So you had fun at San Diego Comic-Con? That's your first time going to Comic-Con?
Yeah, that was my first time there. It was crazy. It was insane. It was a blur because it was such a busy schedule, and we were going to interviews and just walking the grounds too in Johnny costume and getting photos and stuff like that. So it was a ton of fun.
Did people know it was you?
There was the people you could tell the second people saw and recognized Johnny. So it's like, the thing is, it launches fully on Shudder as of September 13th, but it's available to stream, to rent
And purchase.
So I think it's going to open up a whole bunch of audience too at that point, and just kind of build on that, I think, at this point. But you can tell the second somebody recognizes you, if I can see with the mask on.
Yeah, because I bought the digital copy and I also ordered the collector's edition that comes out in October, I believe.
Oh, nice.
So the collector's edition Blu-ray is available on Amazon if you guys want to go ahead and order that. So another person that also went to Comic-Con was I don't know how to say his last name, but David Damashian.
That's Melchin, yeah.
Damashian, yeah. Well, did you run into him at Comic-Con?
Yeah, we did. There was an AMC dinner that we had he was there. There's a whole bunch of people that I'm big fans of there, but yeah, he's a great. I got to meet him in New Orleans at the Overlook Film Festival first as Johnny, and then I bumped into him again there too. So yeah, he's great, such a nice guy, and he's doing so much stuff right now. It's crazy what he's got on his block, what he's working on.
Late Nights with the Devil is one of my favorite movies out this year. It's a really good movie. He did an amazing job.
Yeah, he's casting something else big that's coming out right now that I just noticed that he's on board for some. Anyway, he's doing all sorts of huge things.
Yeah, because he left Comic-Con and then came to LA to go to Midsummer Scream. And I didn't even know. I was like, damn, I would have bought the weekend tickets if I would have known that he was going to be there on Sunday. But
yeah, he's a real cool dude.
Yeah. Are you planning on doing any conventions in Los Angeles anytime soon?
I mean, I hope so. I just signed with a convention agency, Full Empire. So they're just kind of looking into things and seeing where the demand might be. And I think with the announcement of the sequel and Shudder coming out, or it launching on Shudder soon, I think that'll help to get me to the places that we want to be. So,
please do Monster Palooza, do Creepy Con, and do Midsummer Scream in LA, and I'll see you every single time. I promise you.
All right, man. I'm hoping on it. I'm crossing my fingers to do a bunch of conventions this year. So
little birdie told me that you're a big Stephen King fan.
Yeah, I am actually. I was actually just freaking out that he was talking about The Dark Tower getting adapted, and Mike Flanagan is still attached to that. So that's
Mike Flanagan is a great director.
Yeah.
How did it feel to have Stephen King praise In a Violent Nature, a movie that you were in?
That was crazy, man. I can't explain it anymore. I was sitting on my balcony actually reading a Dark Tower book, and I got a ding on my phone, and I looked at it, and it was the tweet that he wrote, and which was like a compliment, but also hilarious in a funny way. And the fact that Stephen King basically called me the world's most terrifying minion, which is, I mean, I'll take anything that he has to say. And
right.
It was fucking epic. So it still doesn't even feel like real that he said something about something I did. So
yeah, because I saw your collection. You have almost every book. Like you're a real average reader.
I collect his first editions. I've got like a bunch of them. I've got a lot to go, but I have almost all of his other books. But yeah, and I still got a bunch to read and everything. But I've been working my way through them since I was like 8 years old. So he's got a lot of material.
Staying on the topic of Stephen King, if you could be involved in one film adapted book, which one would you want to be involved in? It could be something that either exists, it could be a remake, or something that hasn't been even touched yet.
It would probably have to be Dark Tower, just because there's so many characters and there's so much going on in that whole and there's I mean, if you're going to count it as one book, it's like 7 and a bit, but like that would be a great thing to be involved with. Other than that, I'm like, of recent stuff he's done, I know there's a few things being made. His novel Revival is such a great Lovecraftian, creepy kind of existential film that the two main characters in that, they meet when they're young, and then you travel with them all the way through their lives and see how crazy things get. So that'd be a great one. Any of the roles in that too.
You're like, yeah, if he calls me for anything, I'm on board.
pretty much, yeah.
Are you a fan of Mortal Kombat?
Yeah, man. I have I still have the original Mortal Kombat 2 on Super Nintendo.
Oh yeah, that was a good one. Yeah,
Yeah.
I used to love trying to fight Smoke in that game. Like trying to
Oh yeah.
you had to do the right combination. You had to hit something at the right time in order to go to the dungeon to fight Smoke. And but anyway, so Johnny has a Mortal Kombat style kill in this movie, the yoga scene. And I just want to know if you could be in a Mortal Kombat film, like what character would you want to be?
I'd probably have to be Scorpion at this point, right?
Get over
here. Yeah. I mean, he's the closest thing to Johnny with chains. Yeah. Other than that, who else is? I mean, Sub-Zero's always been the two of them. They're just so iconic too, right?
Yeah, definitely. I could kind of see you playing, no pun intended, Johnny Cage.
Johnny Cage, yeah. That'd be a fun one to play too.
Or I could kind of see you playing. I don't know how far you went in the series, but I could kind of also see you playing Jarek in Mortal Kombat 4. I think he's from Mortal Kombat 4. He's one of the Shinnok characters or something. He wears yellow.
Okay, yeah.
He wears yellow.
I know a bunch of the newer characters, but not as well as the classic stuff.
Yeah. But yeah, I actually think that'll be really cool because I said it in my review. I've been saying it to everybody. If this movie showed me anything, is that Mortal Kombat could do practical kills as fatalities. That's what it showed me.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. I mean, if anyone wants to put the time and effort in, it can be done. It's just a matter of like having the right people there to put that work in. Yeah,
because when I watched it and I was just like through the chest, head down. Pull. I was like, damn. I was like, wow. Like in the movie, I think I was in the theater, like just kind of like laughing and just being overjoyous. And I bet you people were just like, what is wrong with this guy? But it was just, I've never seen anything like it. So I was just like, are you serious right now? Like, this is so dope. Like, why is nobody else geeking about this? Like, we're looking at practical effects at its finest.
Yeah, there pretty much seems to be like three reactions to that. There's the laughing because they're enjoying it because it's so over the top. There's the head shake of people just the opposite of that, and then there's the people who are just horrified by it and looking away. It seems to be one of those three.
Yeah. So I noticed something about Johnny's pacing in the movie. Like he kind of starts off like slow, and then he kind of, as the movie progresses, it feels like he like knocks off the rust and he kind of starts getting to get moving. Right? And was that done on purpose? Like, was that the idea? That
yeah, I mean, it was written in the script. Like even when Johnny awakes, it's Chris wrote like for what the film is like. And he jokes, he's like, it's a boring script. It's just a lot of walking. But the thing is, there's so much description in the script too, and description into like what moment we're at in the movie and how Johnny's moving and just like leading into the kills and the motivations. So it's right in the script when I come out of the ground that Johnny's takes a breath for the first time and in all these years, and it is a slower kind of awakening, and then once we're moving with him, and then like you said, it's like he shakes off the rust and does kind of become more of a machine or an awakened animal basically, and once he's moving, then he's his pace it's supposed to always kind of stay somewhat the same, but then when he's motivated it picks up a bit.
Yeah, because I thought that was the most cleverest shit when he did the thing with the wood and the horn, and he walked around the house, and then they came out to take the wood out of the house, and then he just like snuck up behind. I was like, dude, this shows that this dude is he's clever. I was like, that was super clever for him to do that. Yeah. And but then you could just tell the pacing because at first it's just like really like but then like that walk scene around the house was like he was like boom, 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 boom. Everything felt so fluid. Like he kind of was like, all right, now I'm in my zone now. I got a couple kills under my belt. I done pull somebody's head through their chest. All right, we're good now. But
that's the moment. That's the kind of the moment where he like the realization is between each other. Like his victims now know he's there and he knows this. So yeah, you get to see that he's not just a lumbering killing machine. He actually has some thought going on in there.
Exactly. Random question: is Johnny a Deadite?
You know what? I mean, at this point, you could say he's multiple things, right? Because we don't really know. It's a bit of a mystery. So, sure.
Right.
But he's not.
Yeah. But you can easily. So if they would have kept the lore of Friday the 13th, Jason Goes to Hell and with the whole tie-in with Evil Dead, I could definitely see Johnny getting thrown in that mix as well too. You know, dad's mourning, mad that his son was basically killed or whatever, finds his book in the forest, especially because there's multiple books, and then he reads it, and then his son rises back, you know, and it basically explains why Johnny's all beefed up and he ain't a kid no more.
Yeah, I mean, he could, any of those things apply, right? Because it's kind of made to, he's kind of made to be that way, so he can kind of exist in those same worlds.
Exactly. So legend has it that Johnny is still beating up Colt in the woods, right? He's still beating him. He's still at it, just swinging his axe.
Yeah.
How long did you film that axe swinging scene?
I think we did it about, I want to say about 3 or 4 times. We could only do it that the first initial into the tree and then on the ground, like to a certain point, because the head just turned into a puddle basically. But Chris just wanted a lot of just vicious, unexpectedly, just, we just take out one of our possible heroes here just immediately, and to just hold on that. So yeah, it was we did a few takes on it, and then I'm sure they would have just cut different versions of it to keep it go longer. But I did do it for a while. I remember being exhausted after doing that. So
yeah, I was like, your arm's gonna hurt after this, because you were just at it for a while. I was just like, oh man, because I know they probably even wanted to just film the sound, because as she's running through the forest, she could still hear the sound of a Colt getting beaten to death. So even that, they probably wanted you to even do a couple takes just for the sound bites.
Yeah, I mean, we did. I went into the because there's very little of Johnny's voice that you ever hear at all. Just there's a few little grunts and stuff here. But I went into the studio to record some looping for audio, and it was specifically that was one of the scenes. So I remember I was doing the motion and just trying to make proper noises that could be usable. And I was exhausted after doing that, because it was just you had to do the same thing for the same running time, and it was a lot. I was sweating.
If you had to make a top 5 classic horror films list, what would your top 5 be?
Oh, that's hard, man. But I know there's a couple on there off the bat. It'd be like John Carpenter's The Thing, obviously one off the bat. Night of the Living Dead, and probably Dawn of the Dead might have to go together with that. Suspiria.
Oh, you say Suspiria, huh?
Like I love the audio, like I love the music and that, and just I love Argento's just atmosphere that he does, and that's kind of like just kind of catches everything. Fulci's The Beyond, that's got to be in there.
What's the last name you just said?
Fulci's The Beyond.
Oh, The Beyond, Fulci. Okay.
Yeah, that one's just. And then I got one more. Fuck, I'm just looking around at my movies right now.
You're like, wait,
it's like there's just so many of them that I don't. You know what? Say Cronenberg's The Brood, because that scared the shit out of me when I was a kid.
Cronenberg, man. Didn't he just make what is that new movie he just did? And it bothered me.
Yeah, Crimes of the Future.
Oh yeah, that was one that I didn't dig that movie. I love Cronenberg, but that movie just wasn't it. So you say you're a Suspiria fan, correct?
Yeah.
I got something cool to show you. Hold up. All right, hold up. You like clocks?
Yeah.
Hold up. Did I do it right? Oh, there we go.
Oh shit! Oh, nice, man.
Wait, hold up. Well, it ain't clicking. Hold up. There you go.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, I bought this at a.
Wicked. Where'd you get that?
It's these I'll send you the link to them, but it's Mood Poison. I met them at a convention. They're really, really great people. They have a Suspiria one. They have a Leatherface one. Do you like Japanese horror?
Yeah.
They have House. They have the Captain House. Yeah, so they have a lot of really cool stuff. So I saw that and I had to pick it up. And the cool thing about it too is a little black light sensitive. So if you could kind of light it with some black light, it really pops. It looks cool.
Oh, really?
But yeah, and it's a clock. It's a legit clock. Like you put a battery in it and it works and everything. And
I need one of those on my wall.
And it keeps swinging on its own. I'll send you the link for Mood Poison. Sick. Amazing company. And it's a decent price.
You just mentioned Texas Chainsaw Man. I don't know how I didn't include that in my tops too, because That's
It's just so many movies to put on this. It's hard because there's so much great horror, especially the classics.
It is. And honestly, they like my favorites. I always have a couple of favorites that are always in there, but then they always like my top 10 is always switching around too, depending on what I watch. And
what about modern horror? Are you into modern horror?
yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot, especially right now. There's been a lot of great stuff coming out. I loved Talk to Me from just like a year or so ago.
Talk to Me was great.
Yeah, just watched Oddity. I fucking love that.
We saw that last night. Yeah, that was
I just watched it last night too. Yeah.
See, we're in sync.
Yeah, yeah. It's just, I mean, I feel like it's kind of like a renaissance of indie film, indie horror that's getting, people are taking chances. Studios are taking chances throwing this stuff into theaters, and people are actually, there's showing that there's fans out there that want to see this theatrically. So I think it's great.
Yeah. If you had to make like a list of 5 modern horror movies that you really adore, what would it be? So you said Talk to Me.
Talk to Me. Would It Follows, I guess, would be
It Follows.
modern.
That works.
Follows is great. Talk to Me was great. There's another one. There's been a few that have literally just stuck in my head and can't shake. Speak No Evil, the original one. Okay. I haven't seen the I guess the new one's not out yet, but that fucking just sticks in your head.
Mm-hmm. Hereditary always ends up on my list.
Hereditary, yeah. I'd say, yeah, Hereditary and Midsommar together, like they're both fantastic. I'm trying to think of, there's what else have I watched recently. I love Oz Perkins stuff. I love Longlegs. His film The Black Coat's Daughter, I'd probably throw that into the mix too, because that is such a crazy film, and it just shows, what he's working with, and that it's like he's a great director because he kind of makes things as a like a dark fairy tale or like a dark fable with other elements that you're kind of not expecting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It would take me a minute to like actually sit think.
I know. I love hitting people with random questions, and they're like, "Oh, I got to think on the spot." But it's cool. It's just like a little icebreaker. So a lot of people always compare Johnny to Jason. Was it by chance that Lauren Marie Taylor was casted in this movie?
No, they specifically were looking for her. I think they knew early on that they wanted to have, like a recognizable character from like a classic slasher film, but they didn't want it to be too obvious and too kind of in your face to distract people. But they wanted it to be a cool little extra that anyone watching who knew would appreciate it. So it was like, she was one of the original girls from the sequel, and it was there's always kind of a joke that she was also an extra, and not necessarily a joke, it's like kind of a thing that she is another final girl because you don't actually see her die, so it's kind of she could still be out there too.
That's true. Yeah. So in the movie it features a song by a band Techno Western. Was it Loverboy? The song's Loverboy.
Oh yeah.
Have you heard that song like before the movie? Or was that your movie the introduction to that song?
No, that was my introduction to it, and it's like stuck in my head now because I've seen it's a catchy tune right off the bat, and then watch the film a couple of times, and it like you can immediately think of it, and it's just it's got a good hook.
Yeah, because I hate pulling out my phone during the movie, but once I heard him, he popped in the cassette, he starts playing. I'm like, damn, that shit sounds catchy, and I'm like, I'm over here trying to Google it real quick to see what the name of the song was, but it didn't catch it, and I didn't want to have my phone out too long, so I ended up having to do a little research, but I found it eventually. And that song, that band has done significantly better view-wise since In a Violent Nature came out. Because once I found the song, really? I found it the day of, and it was like maybe I think it was maybe 1,000 views or something, but now it's like quadrupled since awesome. Release of In a Violent Nature. So that's great that this movie has had that effect on people. If you could give Johnny a theme song, right? If Johnny could have a theme song, what song would you want him to have? So I'll give you an example. Like, are you familiar with the band Wasp?
Yeah.
Okay, so they have this song called Stone Cold Killers. And then and then the song is like, Johnny, get your guns. And so I don't know, I just thought that would be a funny little song to play in the background, or like as Johnny's walking or doing his thing. If Johnny had a theme song, what song would you choose?
Oh, there's some good ones out there too. There's Like I immediately want to think of like it just jumps into my head as the Jaws theme, but I mean that's Bruce the Shark's theme already. Like it just kind of that idea of like it feels like there shouldn't be words, but then there's also songs like Psycho Killer and
Psycho.
like songs from the Misfits and stuff.
That'll be cool.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to come up with like one specific thing, but I'm like, yeah, there's some like because you could play it in different ways too, and like you could play it comedically in a scene, or you could actually have a scary song that leads into something.
Yeah, because Jordan Peele does that thing where he slows down records. So like I can imagine like Johnny Be Good being slowed down a little bit and like kind of tweaked a little bit to give it that creepy vibe. That'll be cool.
That'd be cool.
Johnny Be Good. That's actually a good ass idea.
It is, man. There's another song. There's a song, I forget what the title is, but it has Johnny in the lyric by the Fine Young Cannibals. And that slowed down because it's kind of got a bit of a downbeat tone to it already, but that would be cool slowed down too. I forget how the lyric goes exactly, but
yeah. Oh, dude, the Johnny B. I'm stuck on that Johnny Be Good thing, and he can have like his mom, like the little mom bubble in the background, like kind of like telling him like Johnny Be Good, like Johnny Be Good, you know. And he's like,
slow down and distort it a little bit.
Yeah, see, add a little reverb. Come on, Chris, hire me, man. I'm just saying. What would you say? I kind of feel like I have an idea, but you never know with these questions. What was your favorite kill in the movie?
I mean, I've said my go-to has been the yoga kill off the bat, just because when I read the script, I got to that point and I was already like, I'm already in on this. But then when I got to that part of the script, line for line, it was in there, and I was just like, if they actually do this, if they pull this off on screen, it's gonna be it's gonna be a fan favorite moment. But there is like each kind of kill kind of has its own. It's its own little magic trick. The Ranger scene is a great one. That's like when the film really gets grim and is full on a horror film. And I like I don't know, like the decapitation is fun too, and the rock, and there's just each sequence kind of has its own thing that you kind of appreciate. So I'm interested to see what we're gonna do with the sequel. That's gonna
be especially because this was shot with like about a $500,000 budget ish.
It was not
less than
a lot of money. So, but what they pulled off with what they had, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, so, and I mean, and essentially it like what 4 times his budget, like or 8 times his budget actually. Yeah, like 8 times his budget. So that's great that it made that people went to the movies. They put the butts in the seats and they went to watch it. And then also people were probably going to buy the physical media because again, we have the collector's edition coming out in October. And then also people can purchase it digitally on Vudu and all these other streaming platforms. So that is really good. I love to see this stuff. And then like the general idea. Like, what's up?
So I'm just saying we're blown away by all of that.
Johnny can easily become a horror icon, and I see that ceiling for him, especially with the sequel greenlit. And if you guys keep doing it in interesting approaches and being creative with the kills, I can definitely see him on a modern horror Mount Rushmore in the next 10 years, But just to kind of like wrap it up a little bit, what are some projects that you're working on that's coming up for you?
I have a few releasing that I shot around the same time as In a Violent Nature, actually. One just came out called The Hyperborean. It's a comedy. It's hard to explain, but it's like a goofy, quirky, dysfunctional family from this rich whiskey baron, and they come across this whiskey barrel from this expedition that's been frozen in ice for hundreds of years. And anyway, they're gonna take it as their own and sell it, but then they find out that there's some sort of creature inside of the barrels, and then it goes from there. So it's it's a horror science fiction comedy. Really,
I saw the trailer for that. It reminded me of Psycho Goreman in a way, like just the vibe of it.
Yeah, it's got a goofy vibe to it. I wouldn't say it's not a hard horror by any means. It's more of a comedy and a sci-fi, and there's a mystery in there, and it's kind of a mixture of a bunch of fun stuff. I don't know if you've heard of Cult Hero, but it's the same team that did that, which is a lot of fun. And then there's another one, Beyond the Chamber of Terror, that launches in October. That's another horror comedy. It's like a throwback to like Giallo, but then splatter, like Italian splatter films too,
Well, I
and,
like
and
that.
horror comedy, and similar to like pays homage to like Evil Dead and all that kind of stuff too. So it's a lot of fun. And another one called Cheat. Sorry, I got to mention them all.
Yeah,
Cheat's
go
like
for it.
it's like an erotic thriller mystery. That's coming out in September too. So
Yeah, I saw the poster for the Cheat that you put on Instagram.
yeah, I just posted that. We're just kind of getting info on that coming out soon, but it launches I think September 17th.
Okay, all right. The last Gallo-ish film that I seen was the Last Matinee. Have you seen The Last Matinee?
No, I haven't seen that, but I heard that's great.
It's actually really good. I like
Yeah.
it. It feels
Yeah.
very Gallo-ish. The color scheme, just the vibe. Just if you the music feels very Gallo-ish. I like it. You should watch. You should definitely
Nice.
check that one out.
I
That's a
need
good
to-
watch.
Need to check that out.
It was a pleasure to have you on the channel. I really appreciate you for coming and doing this.
Yeah.
I would love to have you back. Maybe we could do a live stream or something. Have people harass you with a Q&A. It's up to you
Yeah,
though, if you're up for it. If not, we could just do a sequel to this interview, you know. But it was a pleasure having you. Tell the people where they can find you online if they want to reach out to you or anything like that, or show love for Johnny or any of your other projects.
Yeah. I mean, just look up anything to do with Violent Nature. You can find me on Instagram, just the Ry Barrett, on Facebook, TikTok. It's all pretty much all the same. We just connected all, and other than that, I'm always sharing stuff about any projects I'm working on in movies, so where to go and find that stuff. So if you want to find anything, it's all up there. But yeah, keep an eye out for any of those ones I mentioned, and there's a couple others coming up, but I don't have details that I don't want to jump the gun and say something wrong, but yeah.
And also keep an eye out for the Violent Nature too. You know.
Yeah, I mean that's coming. That I still don't know shoot dates on that, but I have a feeling it'll be spring, early summer next year. So
you won't be cold.
Got to get all that special effects ready first.
That's great. That's great. But again, it's a pleasure to have you on my channel. Thank you again for coming. So make sure you guys hit the like, the share, subscribe button, fill the comments with all the love for In a Violent Nature and all the love for Ry and everything that they do. Make sure to go to check out his other projects, The Cheater, and what was the other one?
Beyond the Chamber of Terror and The Hyperborean.
And Hyperborean. That's the one I have a hard time saying that. The Hyperborean. All right. It just reminds me of Dragon Ball Z, the hyperbolic time chamber. But
yeah, that's close, right?
Right. Well, yeah. So thank you again. It was a pleasure. So you guys are now exiting the Cinema Chop Shop. Hope you guys are having a great day. And adios, homies.
I want to play a game. Subscribe now. The choice is yours. You're now exiting the Cinema Chop Shop.